Hey, what's up, everybody? How's it going? Good to see y'all again. It's been a while. I mean, it's really only been a week, but I haven't released a video, so I've been kind of busy, even though I've been absent. I've got I guess 3 full episodes almost done on the TV version of the Paper Squares book, so that's pretty cool. Um, I submitted the pilot to Slam Dance Film Festival, and I have like 2 weeks for Sundance. I didn't realize that you could submit scripts to there. Like they don't have to be already produced movies and shows and stuff like that. I chose to do a series instead of a movie because it just would be too long for a movie. I think it runs probably like an episode every 2 or 3 chapters or something like that. Maybe every 2 chapters. Yeah. And I think I'm gonna do like 7 episode seasons. So then the first book will be done after 2 seasons. So if they try to cut it off after that, like at least the story of the first book is told, and if it does good, then I could just extend it to the second one. And that's of course if it even gets to that point. But I'm putting this much work into it. Something should come of it, especially if I, continue to put a bunch of effort into trying to get it out there once I finish it. Trying to make some use of this unemployment time while I'm, trying to figure my shit out. But it has been pretty fun, and it has made me really make it a better story, because this book right here is the one I'm talking about. And it's a memoir, so it's naturally somewhat self-centered. You're talking about yourself and your perspective, and your view on things in a particular area, and with a television show, it doesn't work like that. You have to have characters, and you have to have like a full world that you're building. And that, I think, was one thing that like people that were probably mentioned in the book or could have been mentioned in the book were like, hey, what the fuck, like I only got a small mention here or something. Like I wasn't a character. And you really only made a character out of the people who fucked you over. And it's like, yeah, that is kind of how it worked out. um but with this, I have to like really like create characters and scenes out of something, where in the last one I would just say, yeah, I went to New York and recruited some DJs and stuff. In this, I have to like build out all these scenes of these things that happen there. um and as I think I explained before, there's a lot of different facets of it. It's not really just about you leaving my history in the rave scene. It's also, about cops and the drug war and just society in general. And, you know, capitalism to some extent too, because of just the things that I experienced in that industry and just the shadiness in general of the music industry. She always hangs for like 5 minutes, and then she's like, all right, I'm not gonna be getting any treats right now, so I'm gonna leave and watch the squirrels. Because I do give her a treat when she comes down here, because I feel bad because her legs aren't as good as they used to be, but she needs to get the exercise and stuff. So, um, yeah. But then once she gets down here and she gets her treat, she's like, "All right, peace." But yeah, I've been locked in on writing that screenplay, and I think I could get the full season done, you know, by the end of the summer. And once I have that, then I can actually start to send things out to managers and stuff. And you know, with the film festivals, you can just submit a pilot. You can just do the first episode, and then they help you from there. So that would be awesome if I'm able to figure out something like that, or if I place in one of these things. But we'll see. I don't know what the competition looks like, and I don't know um how that content does in that realm. But the one that I submitted to apparently like specifically kind of uplifts more unconventional uh stuff. So we'll see how that goes. So that's pretty much been my week. Been heavily focused on that. I've been seeing a couple stories here and there, but I haven't been watching like the commentary. You know what I mean? Like I've been seeing the stories that pop up, but I haven't been consuming hours of commentary about it. I did save a bunch of links though. It is kind of like a nice switch up. Like, of course, it's good to be informed, and I have stayed up on the general issues, but I also just spend a lot of time like rehashing stuff that I already know, and you know what I mean. I'm sure y'all do the same thing. One of the craziest stories that I saw though was the guy that shot up the In and Out burger or whatever the hell. We're having like fast food place shootings now. I think it was Idaho. He apparently regularly complained about crime on the internet. So like he's posting, you know, in the comments section of probably like New York Post articles and stuff, like freaking out about, you know, robberies and whatever scary crime they put on the news. And it's it's interesting because I honestly think that this can't be a one off. This is a thing because these shooters typically have a particular worldview. You know what I mean? They're usually like disgruntled young right wingers who, you know, either really fucked up in the head, or they're just like they think they should be doing better in the world than they are. And many of them are not even that bad off. You know what I mean? But anyway, complaining about crime, I don't think like people who complain about crime a lot, they think that their position is supposed to be like they care about safety. They care about people's safety in general. I don't think that's the situation because this is a perfect example of it. And like I said, if we were to do a kind of retroactive study on this, which I think would be interesting to look back and see how many of these mass shooters had complained about crime in their online postings. And I think that this is something different than the people who complain about pedos and say they're pedo hunters who end up being the ones themselves. I think that's a different dynamic because in that case, they're like, you know, somewhat trying to cover for their own behavior. But I think it's a different dynamic with these shooters having a problem with crime because like they use crime as just an excuse for social control, and many of them realize that. And that's why they only focus on certain crime. You know what I mean? Crime committed by certain people, and then they ignore other crime. And this isn't even when you consider um what's it called? The no, I am I not loading? Is it coming through bad? Um I it seems good on my end. If let me know if anybody else is having trouble there. Ooh, I'm getting some drop off. Maybe. Signal's still fine on my end. But yeah, like with the shooters, oh, it must be your Wi-Fi. Weird, because I'm getting a few people dropping off, so it might be. That is weird, huh? I'm gonna power through it and see. Country are nothing compared to the dollar figure that employers steal from their employees. Wage theft. That is a larger physical number than like he would have killed you or me for walking out our front door at the wrong time over a truck he would sell for just $8,000. So this is interesting because right now he is upset about the fact that somebody who is probably poor would take something from somebody that was middle class or whatever. You know what I mean? For some, $8,000 probably life changing amount of money for a lot of people. I'm not justifying the carjacking. I'm talking about like why he sees it this way. Um, Williams, whose ex bio said that he was a former foster care youth and that participated in the Boys State, a leadership program for top students in 2019, stopped posting in July of 2025. So he was probably in a lot of these childhood like group homes and shit, especially like the behavior ones where I've heard about abuse in a lot of them regardless, but Williams expressed concern about random violence in New York City and blamed Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg. Bragg downgraded 60% of felony cases last year, including violent crimes. New Yorkers don't feel safe in their own city. And it's like, yeah, he's talking about border state. They recognize, many of these people recognize, even like if it's on a subconscious level, that the state violence is something that like they understand is for controlling society. And even though they don't openly say that, they probably, many of them believe that. They say it's about safety and all this bullshit, but like if you care about safety, you're going on a mass shooting. It happened again. It keeps on happening. The hell? That sucks. Hopefully it's straight now. But yeah, I found that incredibly ironic, and I do think it would be interesting to look back and see how many of these people had expressed similar concerns, because it's more than just ironic. Yeah, many of the mass shooters are extremely privileged because if you think about like them guns cost money. I mean, hell, that's the reason I don't have guns. It's because them shits are expensive. That's why I don't have as many tattoos as I want. Same kind of deal. But I would probably, if I had money, I'd get another tattoo before I got a gun, I think. Flock has been a big topic this week. I just saw a video a couple of minutes ago. Yeah, that does have a lot to do with it. I saw a video earlier today where these guys were taking down a flock camera in broad daylight in San Francisco. Look at this. Let me bring it up real quick. Yeah, because the rule yeah, exactly. They hate other people who don't follow the rules in their book because in their book, they end up, like, benefiting, and there's an unequal, uh, relationship there. So, like, this is wild. This has become such a trendy thing. I think that this is so hilarious. Like, what are you doing, bro? You know, I respect our soldiers out there. Of course, I disavow them, but there was also this thing where they've been putting these cameras outside of dispensaries, and this place in Michigan put up a sign, like, blocking the license plate reader that was literally pointed at their parking lot, and the cops sent them a message saying that they would put, like, sanctions on their business if they didn't take down the sign that was on their own property. We are aware of concerns regarding the flock camera in the parking lot of our Madison Heights location. We share our community's concerns about increased surveillance, which is why we placed the no flock zone sign in front of the camera to block its ability to record. JARS does not control the camera or have access to any of the data it collects. The camera was required and is operated by the City of Madison Heights, and any third party crowdsourced databases claiming that JARS operates it are incorrect. After we installed our no flock zone, the city issued a demand letter warning of sanctions if we did not remove it within 48 hours. Since receiving the letter, we have been in contact with our city representatives and are working towards a solution. And then they say, in the meantime, if you're not comfortable there, like, we have other locations that you can go to. I think $1,000 is enough to change people's lives. Many people. Like, you know, I definitely think that, because if you're constantly living, there are many people who have never even seen $1,000 in their bank accounts, and they're just, like, living paycheck to paycheck, and even, like, an extra $1 or $2,000 would give them a buffer that would change their lives. Probably it wouldn't allow them to, like, move ahead in any regard, but it would definitely change their experience for sure. And yeah, the thumbnail that I used with the, like, wires that were hanging from the stoplight with the people, like, the kids shooting the slingshot at the camera. That is this guy named Reed from Baltimore who he goes all over the country and hangs. He's been hanging wire art for years all over the place. He did decorations at a couple of my parties long time ago. This is that where did I share it? Huh, I guess I didn't. Y- Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, people will there are some people who would just get an extra $1,000 and would just squander it for sure. But I'm just saying. I have two tattoos. I have my wedding ring and I have a pig in a cop's uniform on my arm that I got when I was like in my early 20s or something. It's like a 20 years old. Got a long time ago. I was probably like 21. There's also I'm gonna actually go through some of this other flock stuff I saw real quick. Try to keep it together. Yeah, there's definitely I mean, technically everything that an ICE agent does is funded by government money. Here's a town hall. I don't think we've watched this one before. Oh, this one was just last week.
I'm Daniel Hartman. I live in Ward 2 in Fridley. I've not been a resident of Fridley for as long as many of you, but like many of you, I came here to build a life, a future with my family. It's caused me to think a lot about the future, about the world we will be building for our children. I want that world to be one where we trust one another. A world where newcomers to the community are greeted with open arms and kindness. Flock is not that. Where we could be spending our money, uniting our community, and building it into something for everyone to trust in, we instead send it to unproven tech oligarchs to invade and spy on our communities. That spying is not without consequence. When the federal invaders arrived to terrorize our state in the name of scams, lawlessness, and racism, that very network was used to track and kidnap our neighbors, as we know. Our children will look back on this moment with revulsion, nauseated by the cowardice that led us to turn our guns inward, nauseated by the squandering of our natural resources to build the data center and surveillance infrastructure, a monument to fear, voyeurism, and delusion.
And yeah, that's the thing. We need to start talking about these data centers as surveillance infrastructure, because that is not like recognized enough. People just think, yeah, it's for more AI slop or whatever. That is a cover story, and that is bullshit. We have enough data centers for that. And it's like, why do you think that they're being so forceful with people at a lot of these town halls and where there could be no resistance to it, and they've just gotten like rubber stamp for everything.
We must not forget this is much bigger than a few cameras spying creepily on civilians. The surveillance state cannot exist without data centers. Every second these cameras are running is another second spent sucking the life out of our planet. You keep this up, and we're staring down more than a future.
Look at this guy's face over here. I don't know if he's like laughing. I don't know which direction he's laughing from. Like, yeah.
Without privacy. We are staring down the destruction of our future in entirety. Does it comfort you to know that when the last drop of water is drained, when the weather gets so hot that your sweat can no longer keep you alive, and when electricity is so expensive that we can no longer afford to cool our homes, there will still be cameras pointing at the people that frighten you? If my words offend you, remember that I warned you months ago in this very room. You have had adequate time to change course and be the responsible adults you were elected to be. If you cannot see this situation for what it is, then you should not be anywhere near a position of power. We are better than this. Spend our money on something the community would actually benefit from. We should be enjoying our parks together and making friends, not living in fear of one another. I ask that you disarm these cameras.
And yeah, that speaks to the crime conversation that I was just talking about a minute ago. What are you talking about, bro? Body suspension, like those hooks and all. I used to know some people who were into that. A live action Banksy like protest. Okay. That sounds fun. So yeah, apparently On the topic of these council county meetings, Flock has been giving guides to council people to kind of tell them how to prevent the Flock contracts from being canceled. How to speak to city council about public safety technology. Okay, so this is the guide for their employees to coach city councils. That's even worse, because that means that they have this kind of weird relationship. Instead of just sending them a pamphlet or something like that, they actually have some kind of relationship with these council members. The PDF guide notes that the general public and cities now increasingly expect transparent oversight and accountability alongside public safety outcomes, and tells police to not argue with people who believe that Flock license plate readers are mass surveillance. I mean, they are. One of the most common questions agencies hear today is whether license plate reader technology constitutes mass surveillance. Many leaders instinctively respond by attempting to refute the claim. Flock's Jamie Hudson recommends a different approach, the guides read. Don't avoid the concept of mass surveillance because you're not going to convince the opponents it's not, the company recommends. Flock tells law enforcement agencies that they need to try to convince city council and city managers that the technology is worthwhile before meetings with the public occur. So yeah, before the public has any involvement, they want to start colluding with these politicians. That they need to have a carefully scripted presentation ready to go. So they want to coordinate with the politicians in advance, so then they can come and like provide a united front. And the police need to say that they want Flock because they keep the community safe. You care about your community. That's why you're bringing this in. So they're basically saying, don't fight against mass surveillance. Convince them that mass surveillance is actually a good thing. And yet, there is actually an argument to be made that the Confederates did win the Civil War because of the fact that Reconstruction was failed, essentially. And even even after the Civil War, slavery began under other names. Like they continued to keep people in indentured servitude. And, that was what the rise of the KKK was all about, to try to prevent like society from changing too much away from the situation that existed in slavery. And there have been many different ways that that exploitation has continued. Oh, the Patriot Act. Yeah, that's a throwback. I mean, we're so far out from that, man. I mean, I would love to repeal the I've been talking about that since the Patriot Act was in place. But we are so far gone. And when there was a mass mobilization against the Patriot Act, we didn't have surveillance capitalism being like the driver of our economy, which is what it is. All of the advertising that happens on the internet is based on data mining and shit. And if they didn't have that, things would probably collapse. I'm not saying that to defend it. I think that they should, but I'm just saying they have built their whole economy around data collection at this point. So it's going to be very hard for them to back away from that. Or they're going to be very reluctant to back away from that. And when I say the whole economy, I just mean like their money and their profits. So If that were to collapse, that wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing for us. Jobs would still exist. It's just that, like, you know, there would be some problems with advertising. But that model is already gone out anyway. Like, you know, 10 years ago, I used to have like blogging jobs on the internet, and I used to be able to make a living doing that because of advertisement. And because of like what has happened with ad blocking and stuff, there's not many jobs in that realm anymore. And that's been since like 2020. And then once AI happened, that like cooked it all. Because then the few places that are making some ad revenue, they're just like running a one guy shop with AI. Check this out. A police chief in Georgia used Flock's cameras to track his ex-girlfriend and her teen daughter nearly 600 times. And he says, "Don't worry, I'm not tracking you or some weird stalker shit," he texted her. After his arrest, oh wow, he took himself out. Wow. He's one of 50 cops that were found misusing Flock. The only silver lining to the Flock situation is that there are a lot of cops who are getting arrested. How did you see that I went to Cleveland the other day? I didn't tell you. I told you I looked it up. How would you know, though? Where did you look? Flock camera. He just says it straight up. I was in a spiral that day. I won't ever look again because of Jesus. Saved my ass from my pain and my trauma. Fucking people using that shit as a crutch and an excuse all the time. Like, what is it with when somebody is a total piece of shit? They're like, "Oh, I'm religious. That means you got to subtract some points from my bad stuff." That's how this works, right? It's a camera system that reads tags. Don't worry, I'm not tracking you or some weird stalker shit. Anyways, are you now telling your friends that I did that? Oh my god, dude. What a creep ass motherfucker. Over the last 7 months, Staffen continued to search for the Bakeley's plate over 500 times, dude. Outrageous. Yeah, and like that doesn't even, the whole other issue there is the high correlation of like law enforcement and domestic violence. And not only that, there's ICE is like apparently much worse. I'm sure that, you know, their statistics of abuse are even worse than cops. From what we've learned from some of these ICE agents that have been having their lives kind of dug into a little bit. Seems to be the case. This is a town hall descending into madness because they don't want people to talk about data centers. 26-year-old woman got slammed to the ground for speaking out against data center. They got it in slow motion. You could hear people like, and this ain't Antifa, you know what I mean? These are like people that usually would not be politically active in this regard. You don't go this way. You don't go. Okay, I'm not touching you. Where is this? New Mexico?
Organized labor is deserves more chances in Doña Ana County. Amen. Organized labor deserves more chances in Doña Ana County besides working. We support organized labor. We support. Where's the trespass order? I want to see the trespass order.
I saw that 3 of the guys in that got caught. I forget where it was, but they were released shortly after because the charge wasn't that much. Like they couldn't even be held, which shocks me. But apparently, I also heard, I'm not sure how much of this is just rumor mill or whatever, because I couldn't find like a definitive source, but there are people who are saying that cops are trying to say that it's trying to charge people with conspiracy now because of the fact that it's an online trend. And you're conspiring with, I guess, the people in the flock groups or whatever. I think that might be all I got on Flock. Yeah, I think that's the main Flock story I had. A lot of ice stuff though. Have you seen this thing with the worms in the water at ice? Like you could visibly see them. Now, this was something that has been reported since the beginning. And people have been doubting it. There has been, especially on the Fox News and the right and the MAGA and all that, have been like, oh, they're just lying about their conditions in there. And these are obviously concentration camps. So now they posted a video saying, like, look at this, we got worms in here. You can see them. You can see them swimming around. We need to shut these places down. Yeah, I did talk about that, the flock free zone a couple minutes ago. This is messed up, man. And I had no doubt in my mind that this was happening, but to look at this is horrific, man. These people have no, like, imagine being in this situation. That's the only water to drink. This is horrific. Like, what the hell is happening about this? Why haven't these places been shut down like immediately? This shit is driving me nuts, man. Like, these people should not be in here with this. I just, even looking at that, I can't, man. That, I mean, that has always been my biggest fear about prison in general, has been the conditions of the food and stuff, especially given my disorder. But this is horrible, man. This is literally concentration camp shit. These places need to close down. Everybody involved with them needs to be in prison. And it, like, since we have them, I'm an abolitionist, but these are the people who belong in prison as long as we have them. And I'm completely horrified by this. And the fact that there appears to be no, I hope they do. I hope they end up worse than on psych meds, to be honest with you. Like, they belong in prison. Like, anybody who signed up for ICE, like, honestly, like, I want to say worse. They they need to be Nuremberged. I'll just say that. Because look at this shit. Like, you are Nazis. That's what needs to happen. You need, like, everybody involved with this shit. But nothing is happening. Like, this footage came out and nobody's doing shit. They're filing a lawsuit. Like, give me a break. We need to be breaking into this fucking place and ripping people out of here. Um uh I just we are this is why I have no I don't even know how the hell we get out of this. Like, we are fucked as a species. There is no way that like we are not a good species, man. Like, I saw the picture and I saw the story, like, the headline, but I had not seen the video until now, and it is fucking me up. This, like, we need to organize an operation to get everybody in the country into a specific place, like anybody who wants to get these people out, and we need to just storm the gates and rip these people out of here. I'm probably going to get banned for that. But, like, these fucking pigs. I'm sorry, guys. I'm crashing out. I'm crashing out. I don't know what to, like, because literally nothing is happening. A lawsuit. I don't. And on top of that, we have another leaked video from inside a detention center where there's multiple women reporting physical abuse and sexual assault.
Center in Brazil. There is all kinds of unfair discrimination here, not just in the GEO Center, but also in ICE. They bring us from different states supposedly to fight our case, but it's really just to spend money here and lose. Most of the women who are detained here don't know where our children are because they take them away from us and don't give us any information. They bring us here, and there are people who spend more than 15 months here and then get deported even after winning their case. The staff expose detainees' information so that they can be trafficked.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that. Yeah, so that I was wondering, it seemed like dubbed. So it is AI translate. It's helpful because a lot of times I stumble on these videos and I have no clue what's going on. But that is helpful to know that there may be, like, some slight discrepancies.
The staff are having relationships with the detainees. Here they are forcing detainees to work for $1 for more than 6 hours. They refuse to give us medication, and if we don't defend ourselves, they threaten to take away all our privileges, our communication, and put us in the moon. We have the case of a woman who was not given proper...
I want to make sure. Oh, okay. And they have the original Spanish that people have verified. They have the original Spanish that people have verified too.
Amputate 4 of her toes, and she doesn't even know why her toes were cut off. Give the case to Mrs. Brisa. Defend ourselves.
Hold on, I gotta back that up. What?
They threaten to take away all our privileges, our communication, and put us in the moon. We have the case of a woman who was not given proper socks, and because of that, they had to amputate 4 of her toes, and she doesn't even know why her toes were cut off. Give the case to Mrs. Brisa from Mexico. Another case is a woman from Ecuador named Nancy, who was 3 months pregnant, miscarried in her bed, and did not receive any kind of medical attention.
These are concentration camps. Every time I say that shit online, there is some chud in the comments, like, acting like I am being, hyperbolic or something. They're fucking concentration camps. Anybody who supports this shit is inhuman, savage piece of shit. I'm sorry.
Also have Kelly, a Venezuelan woman who only has one kidney, and the kidney she has left is suffering from renal failure. The water we have to drink is tap water. We also have the case of a Cuban woman who won her case and has been here for more than 10 months, but DHS appealed and now she has to stay even longer. We have no information. People who have been deported and have been waiting more than 3 months for deportation, and we are also not eligible for bond. Why do we have to be here? There are many cases of women like mine, where I am a mother who left my 5-month-old daughter when I called the police on my husband because he was hitting me. And even though I was the victim, I was the one who got arrested. And here there are many more like me who are separated from our children, who have no communication with our children. I am already deported, and yet I have been here for 3 months in this detention.
Yeah, and they say that they just want the people deported, but no, like, they're making money having people in these places. And, you know, there's probably a lot of other shit going on too.
Detention center, where we experience discrimination from the officers, where when we go to eat, and since we don't speak the language, they tell us they don't speak Spanish. And when God's laws say that if we don't know the language, we have the right to an interpreter, but instead they mock us. In the dining hall, they don't let us eat properly during our allotted time because we arrive, and after 5 minutes, they're already making us leave and go back to our rooms. We have no voice. That's why we're making this complaint, so that you can be our voice and know what's happening here at the Louisiana Center.
They give us cleaning supplies.
They don't give us cleaning supplies. There is poor hygiene here. There are pests, diseases like a lot of colds and scabies. There's a Cuban girl here who has gone to the medical office several times, and they don't tell her what's wrong, but it's scabies. That's because of the mattresses, because there's no cleaning, no hygiene, and no products to clean things.
And and people are just like, oh yeah, they, you know, people who are locked up, people in prison, people in immigration detention, they don't actually deserve humane accommodations. There are people who have that attitude, a lot of them. Like, what are we doing? I literally don't understand how we have technology to like beam pictures all over the planet, yet we don't have like the basic humanity to understand that you don't treat people like this. I just, this kind of shit is just why I have lost it, man. When it comes to any kind of like hope for ending this shit in our lifetime, because of the just, there are so many people who, we should know this shit from history, like, but people just deny it, or they openly support it and say we actually need fascism now because that's good, because communism is worse. Where the fuck is this Steven Crowder thing? I'm sorry, I'm not my best self today after seeing some of this shit. Steven Crowder came out with this video that was like, actually, we need fascism. And this is the psychopath who was abusive to his wife, and, you know, that came out on some camera from their house. He like wouldn't even let her use the car to go to the grocery store. They're rich. What the fuck are you talking about? He's like trying to control her in the house. Look at this. See, look, and there's all these people who are like, look, yeah, born again Christian. Compared to liberal capitalism, fascism is better than communism in that aspect. What the fuck? Even somebody who's trying to critique it mildly is also like, you know, obviously has some fascist tendencies themselves. I don't know who this person is. This is just the screenshot I found. This guy is a total Nazi. But yeah, the case for fascism. They've always been fascist. They're just admitting it now. And, you know, as I have to say every time like I defend communism, I am not a communist. I am an anarchist. But I'm not an anti-communist. And I think that anti-communism is a very, very, very easy pipeline into fascism. It's a part of it. I mean, fascism isn't it? What is a distraction from what? Fascism is the problem. Yeah, it's and like we have this history in our country of like the Red Scare and shit, and just this whole attitude of like communism means prison, gulags, and disappearing people off the streets, bread lines. That is, those things are not unique to communism. Those are like tendencies of hierarchical structures. I mean, it happens here too. We have gulags. We have people getting disappeared off the street. We have bread lines. We have tent cities. Like if you ask right wingers probably a little bit different these days because of the fact that they're saying it all out in the open. But if you ask like a more like mainstream like Democrat, their issues with communism would all be things that exist here, the things that they would list. The actual problem that they have with it is the fact that it would disrupt certain arrangements that exist here that benefit people in the hierarchy. And I don't think that it would be a solution, especially in this current situation. I do think that we would be better off. We would be better off with like some kind of wealth distribution, definitely free healthcare, etc. But what? I don't understand that one. Yeah, exactly. All of the critiques that Americans have about capitalism or about communism are things that exist under capitalism. So what's the actual problem? There are definitely a lot of abused people in this country. But I would definitely argue that the problem that people have with communism is the average person, it's invented. It is like they don't understand what communism is. They don't know what it means. They don't know what the difference between communism and capitalism is. And they just think that's the bad thing. That's when you have authoritarianism. And when you live under authoritarianism, you don't recognize it as what it is. You just think that that's the normal way of being, and then you could be told about other places and you could get scared of that. But you know, that is kind of how it works. On the other hand, the billionaires, they understand why they don't want communism, because it directly threatens their bottom line. It threatens their control over people. My problem with communists is it depends. It depends on what the issue is. There are some individual things that I don't agree with central banking. I don't agree with I have a lot of criticisms of government institutions, you know what I mean? And also there is this like tension between anarchists and communists where, you know, if we're in a revolution together, we are fighting everybody else till the end, and then when it's us left over, y'all still want to put a government back in and we don't, and then our asses usually get killed. But I don't have a problem with seeing communists as allies at this point, because I don't think a revolution is coming. That's not happening. I'm never going to see it. So I don't have to worry about the communists turning on the anarchists, because there's just not going in that direction. Maybe the communists will try to have they'll think they're doing something revolutionary, and then maybe they'll get us healthcare. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have a problem with that. But there's not a revolution coming. I don't think I've talked to anybody over the age of like 35, 40 who actually think that a revolution's coming. Most of the people that I interact with who think that a revolution is coming, or who think that we have potential for a revolution, are younger. And I thought that it was possible back then too. I feel like I always kind of descend into this rant a little bit, but it is connected to everything, and it's connected to a lot of the way that I see strategy today, because of the fact that, like, I know we're not overthrowing the current system. I know that we're in a situation where, you know, there are a lot of people suffering, and wow, man, I really admire your optimism. That's awesome. I don't know how it's happening. And the other concern that I have is that I think that the right wingers are more ready for a revolution than the left wingers are. Like, they're more armed, they're more organized, and that is one of the things that concerns me. Like, if we do get in a revolutionary situation, I do see MAGA kind of being at the top of that power vacuum, just because of how armed they are and how organized they are, at least when compared to the left. And and I feel like I came to that realization around the whole January 6th thing. I was like, these people, like, and here's the other thing is, like, when the left organizes, it's always defensive. It's always like, stop killing us, like, with your cops. Or, hey, maybe end the genocide. That's like the kind of things that the left protests for. But then when the right protests, it's an aggressive, like, offensive posture. It's like, give me mine. And you know, I think that's a little bit of a problem. I think we need to have some of that take mentality, honestly. Like, instead of just, you know, organizing in defense from the state, we need to be organizing to change something, you know, and demanding the change, and even in an aggressive fashion, like the Chuds have done with, like, the Bundy Ranch, or was it Bundy Ranch and all that stuff, when the Chuds with the horses and the guns, like, stared down the cops, and then the cops left, and then they ended up getting in a bunch of other shit years later. Can't remember. But that kind of offense, that's more that when it comes to revolutionary, I hate to say it, they're more likely to act it out, and I don't like that. I that scares me. So that is a concern that I've started to develop over the years. Yeah, that's it. Linvoy Finnegan got shot for it. Yep. And I gotta say, even with these flock cameras, and this is a funny thing, so many of the people who are getting arrested, they're a little bit chud coded, right? Like they're hitting the flock cameras in their big pickup trucks and shit. And they're going out with their tools that they got and they're cutting it down, you know what I'm saying? And hey, like that is they're using their privilege for good. That's what we call that. You know what I'm saying? Like and like that is kind of a sign that maybe there's some positivity there. Maybe there is some revolutionary sentiment among the average people. Yeah, I supported them back then too. And on principle, I still kind of do. Like, I don't support them as a group, but and then I think I don't support how the government just like takes people's land and shit, and I think it is good for people to stand up against that. But them individually, I think that their politics sucked. Winning over the fascists is an interesting discourse. I feel like I've gotten a little bit less tolerant of that, or how about I've become less willing personally to dialogue with fascists over the past couple of years. I used to be a very like, yeah, let's debate in the marketplace of ideas and shit like that. And now I'm like, your ideas need to be fucking eradicated from society because they're bad. There's no doubt the feds were in the wrong on that. Crazy to see them side with the feds now. Yeah, exactly. But at the end of the day, there does need to be some kind of re-education of the fascists. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying re-education camps in that sense. I'm saying that like they're the ones who need to be fixed. There isn't a deal where like we need to meet in the middle or we need to understand each other. That's the point I'm past. Like, we need to figure out some way to fix those people's broken ass brains, or else we're going to be in trouble in this world. So I'm not sure how to fix their broken ass brains. I think that that's a very interesting question. That oh yeah, James Carville, that old guy, saying that, yeah. I hope they do. And there's a part of this whole, in my opinion, most of the Democratic National Committee or whatever, the DNC, whatever it is, they exist mostly to keep the Democrats to the right, because that's how you get money. You can't get there are like two left-wing billionaires that fund things. They may donate to politicians, but overwhelmingly, if you want to make money as a politician, you need to be kissing the ass of corporations and doing the bidding of the corporations, and that's how you make your money. And that's how the Democrats make their money too. For the Republicans, it's much easier because they're siding with their base in most cases. Trump's kind of changed that with how he's made it more acceptable to be like anti-billionaire, anti-corporation in the right-wing party, even though he's a fucking billionaire who's notorious for being a rich asshole with gold toilets. I don't know how that works. But yeah, they have been trying to lock that shit down, so there isn't a real opposition party in this country. Because if there is a real opposition party in this country, that it makes the political lobbying game a lot more difficult, because, you know, then you actually have to enact policies that go against the donor class, and they ain't going to want to pay you no more. It's crazy that it really does just come down to that, and it's that simple, and that's why they never want to do anything. I hope it is escaping its bureaucratic, and like there are some things that give me hope, as far as like, some more radical people getting in there, but like the problem that you see is as soon as they get in there, they start backpedaling on like, actually, I that thing I said about the cops, I don't really mean it, and yeah, maybe I will vote for Israel's Iron Dome, and maybe I will, vote on this war because we need our defense, and it's kind of weird, but that tends to happen real quick. Even some of these DSA people that just got in like a week or two ago, they're already saying some bullshit that ain't cool. I can't remember who it was or what it was, but I remember there was a bunch of drama, DSA drama this week. And it was one of those new candidates came out and said, like, actually, I don't support banning the Senate or something, might have been. It wasn't even prison abolition. The Ayn Randian thing's interesting too, because the whole libertarian thing is like, it's this idea. Well, there is this idea where we're going to take away everything. Like, the cops aren't going to fuck with you anymore. That there won't be all of these laws against sex work and drugs and all this stuff, which I would agree with. And they're saying we're not going to regulate anything, and we're just going to let people do what they want. That's not how it ends up working out. Look at Argentina with the situation there. That guy identifies as an anarcho-capitalist. The anarcho-capitalists and the libertarians love him. They still love him after 2 years of authoritarian rule. He has unregulated all the businesses, let the businesses do exactly what they want, but he has increased police crackdowns. He has, I think, crackdown on protest. I want to say ban protests, but I remember seeing an article about that, but I'm not 100% sure. So I will say that he has cracked down on protests. There has been more aggressive policies towards the poor, and there has been, just let the rich do whatever they want, and that is how it works out. That's not what the advertising pitch of libertarianism is, and I was in those spaces for many years, even though I never identified as such. I never like put that in my bio. I did align with them on many policies and many movements, especially when it came to war and the cops. And that's when I thought, that's the area where I thought like we were really in an alliance, you know what I mean? And then I started to realize that actually you're not really that much against the cops, are you? When it comes down to like rich people's property and cops, like you will side on the cops to protect the rich people's property. We saw this with the protests. Like if a rock gets thrown through a Starbucks window or something like that, then the libertarians will be like, yeah, stand on the roof and shoot them. And it's like, what happened? I'm sorry. You know, aren't you supposed to be anti-authoritarian, anti-state, all this shit? But people have a protest against the state's repression, and you want to, you know, I guess I'm searching for the word, but you want to police their behavior on how they respond to that, just because some corporations or those mansions in St. Louis that couple, the Ken and Karen with the guns out on the lawn, they were like libertarian heroes defending their mansions from people who weren't even going to, touch it. They were gated. They were in a gated community that we're walking through, where every house was gated too, from what I recall. And you're just standing out there with your gun, and all the libertarians are like, "Yeah, they're great. Shoot the police brutality protesters." That was when I realized, like, I'm not on the same page with these people. They don't actually believe in anti-authoritarianism. This is just like an edgy kind of like marketing gimmick for their right-wing ideology. And then I started it became blatantly obvious by the time that they were saying, like, oh, actually, Augusto Pinochet was great, and it was cool that he threw communists out of helicopters, alleged communists, which is mostly like student organizers, police brutality protesters, stuff like that. Yeah, exactly. That whole time, so many libertarians that I thought were anti-authoritarian are not. They literally just want the rich people to rule the world, and that's what the problem is. And many of them have their own kind of it's weird. Like, because I'm still friends with a lot of libertarians, and like I know a lot of content creators that would still identify as such, but they're not the ones that went like completely into right field. I don't know why they have I don't know why they have such an attachment to the label. They're like, the label means something to me because I believe in the philosophy. And it's like, okay, but all the other people who believe in the philosophy are shitbags. So then the label that you have is not looking good on you, dog. And they're like, yeah, I don't care. I'm going to keep this philosophy. I'm going to keep this going. And it's like, what are you doing, man? It's dead. It's done. It is co-opted by the right wing. You should just dust your hands of it and leave it alone. The Libertarian Party literally endorsed Trump, didn't they? So, yeah. If you're a libertarian out there and you're still fuck the police and you're still anti-war and you're not a bigot, then that's great. You know what I mean? Keep on trucking, but I don't know why you keep on with that label, dog. Like, is not, The other thing is that libertarian means something completely different in many other countries than it does here. The Koch Foundation ruined the word libertarian in the United States, with the help of people like Murray Rothbard and who else? All the Thomas Woods and Walter Block and all them fucking Mises guys. It's it was definitely, I really do think that there was kind of a psyop to push people who were disenfranchised with the two-party system into right-wing libertarianism, like during the Obama era. And when I say psyop, I mean like Peter Thiel playing with the Facebook algorithm. I 100% believe that. Playing with the Facebook algorithm, playing with the YouTube algorithm. And when I say Peter Thiel, I definitely mean Facebook, but with YouTube, maybe Sergey Brin, you know what I mean? Like, it's I'm not exactly sure whose hands are in what, but I use Peter Thiel as a catch-all for the Epstein class, just because he's the Palantir guy now. You know what I mean? And he really did have large investments early on in many social media companies. I don't know if I understand that. Oh yeah. Libertarians still have wealth for welfare for the wealth. That okay, that makes sense. Yeah, there is this, and then you got Hans Hermann Hoppe, who is the worst. He is like the worst of the ANCAPs and libertarians. He like came out with the covenant community idea, which is basically like he literally wrote, if there are feminists or like environmentalists or people of a race you don't like in your community, then you should be able to kick them out. And he calls himself an anarchist. It's like, no, you are an old fascist. When I said the word bigot, I was reminded of this batshit crazy thing I saw. This thing called Bigot Fest, where these Nazis have children fight each other. Like, and they have yeah, like look at this. Bigot Fest 2026, and they got some hog there, dude. Like, what? Look at the guy cheering in the background. Like, what the hell is going on here? They just put some bales of hay in a square and have kids like beat the shit out of each other. He's hugging his son like, yeah, I know it hurts, but get back in there. And then they grow up to be school shooters and shit. Or McDonald's shooters or whatever. It's wild, man. I gotta look this up. It's in Canada. Okay. So this was in July. This was last week then. And this prompted condemnation from local authorities. Could Bigot Fest be held in North Ontario? See, like, they're just owning the shit now. They're like, yeah, we're bigots. Yeah, we're fascists.
In North Bay about a gathering being marked on social media as Bigot Fest. CTV's Madison Merrier spoke with activists who say this type of gathering is not welcome.
Human rights group B'nai B'rith Canada is warning North Bay residents of a possible hate group gathering coming to town this weekend. The event is advertised online as a family-friendly festival called Bigot Fest.
Family-friendly. We will turn your children into gladiators.
B'nai B'rith Canada says the group behind the event is known to have white supremacist ideology.
Individuals who are known right across Canada for peddling in hate, sowing division, and inciting racist and harmful narratives, and we don't believe that there's a place for that in any Canadian city.
It's like that scene from American History X where they're like at the like bonfire with the hay bales and there's like the fights and stuff, and then there's the Nazi skinhead band.
And welcome. He continues saying if the event is happening, it will not be on municipality-owned property.
We don't want Canadian.
Bro, what is this? If Arnold Schwarzenegger was a Jill Stein, Joe Rogan, what's the kind of fascism I could deal with? Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jill Stein, Joe Rogan in the same person? You gotta be kidding me. What?
Continues saying community members are encouraged to remain aware of their surroundings, avoid engaging, and report any concerning, suspicious, or criminal behavior to the police.
These groups have been quite open and transparent.
Yeah, that is some batshit stuff, man. I didn't realize it was Canada. I guess they got some issues up there too. I mean, they are still like actively well, I mean, the United States is still actively doing the native genocide too, but I feel like it's maybe less far along there. So they're at a stage where there's more of them, you know what I mean? So they are there. I guess there's more tension, which is resulting in more publicized issues than we have here, where we're still, it really is like a skit from InfoWars, the Bigot Fest thing. But where's that story I saw about ICE with the yeah, I don't know for some reason I blanked on what I was going to go to next. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Had something to do with that issue. Did you see this video of this cop shoot a guy with a taser at a gas pump and then catch him on fire and shit? And then arrested him afterwards. Look at this.
Get on the ground now.
Guy just got tased. Fire! Fire at the gas station.
Get on the ground. Get on the ground. Wait, dude, I got birds all over. I know. Dude, it's
Oh
hot.
shit!
You're a fucking dick.
It's on fire! You guys need to move back!
Fucking idiot. Oh my god, man. Oh wait. Oh, I did the screen thing again.
Get on the ground now.
Guy just got tased. Fire! Fire at the gas station.
Get on the ground. Get on the ground. Get on the ground now.
Guy just got tased. Fire! Fire at the gas station.
Get on the ground. Get on the ground. Wait, dude, I got birds all over. I know.
The cop's like, I know, just get on the ground.
Dude, it's
Oh
hot.
shit!
You're a fucking dick.
It's on fire! You guys need to move back!
The cop did not even realize that the thing's still on fire next to a gas tank and a vehicle. What the fuck, man? He was being arrested for fishing illegally? Oh my god. You gotta be kidding me. Is that true? It was a fish. It was. What? What a dumb ass pig, dude. Use of force expert weighs in. Come on, we can see it with our eyes. Like, we don't need an expert opinion on this. It seems to me that there was an escalation of force without cause. You think? What? Yeah, I mean, a lot of these cops are literally just like sadistic creeps, and they would be serial killers if they weren't cops, probably. That is wild. I didn't realize that it was over a fishing without a license. You gotta be kidding me. That guy better sue his ass off. Like if a cop ever touches me, I am like lawyering up. I don't care. So if some shit like that happened, I would be calling up anybody, any lawyer that does the high profile cases. You know what I mean? Yeah, and then he's like, "You're a fucking dick." The company that has been responsible for the lettuce issue, like the why we can't have lettuce, has been linked to forced labor. So basically slavery. Taylor Farms. Let's see. Turns out that Taylor Farms, the agricultural company behind the widely believed to be behind the Psychospora outbreak currently raging through the US, is also heavily involved in modern-day forced labor. In the reporting from 2023 that was resurfaced this week on social media, the publication Prison Legal News revealed that Taylor Farms was contracting labor from the Arizona Department of Correction, Rehabilitation, and Reentry for the low price of force. So they're using prison labor, which is one of the forms of legal slavery that we have in this country. Oh, I remember. I was going to respond to your comment about the network states. That's it. So Balaji just got ran out of Malaysia. He tried to set up one of his network states things there, and the locals obviously had a problem with it because some billionaire is trying to set up his own government in your backyard, essentially. And they forced him out, and then he decided to go to Kazakhstan. So now he's setting up in Kazakhstan. Network states are one of those things where it's like the idea of it is cool. Like you kind of having a like decentralized system of governance with people that you agree with, that you have connected with online and don't necessarily have to be in the same physical location. The physical locations that he was setting up was like universities or whatever. But the problem with it is that it's a fascist billionaire who is facilitating the idea. So, you know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's like, I don't trust that because of who's involved with it. They might have been able to put like a really cool, marketing spin on it, but yeah, I'm not going to trust something involved with them guys. There's also more wildfires in this was in Spokane, Washington. And I think this is another one of those areas get these wildfires before. There is one person who was arrested for setting one of these fires. But even so, people set fires in the past, you know? The problem is their ability to spread on a level that they hadn't before. Like I'm not is it because it's of dryness or something? That's what I'm guessing. That and the wind. But I know a lot of these places, especially in Europe, they don't usually deal with this. Pretty crazy. Yeah, I live like literally in the middle of the woods. The woods are like 20 feet from my house, and my house is a log cabin. So, that shit scares me. Luckily we have not had a lot of I would bet the pesticides and the farming practices would have a lot to do with it. That makes sense. I also think that the environment is changing in ways because of the way that we are. Yeah, monoculture trees. That's another one. Yep, it's a very complex situation. The things that we are doing to the environment are of course contributing to this massively. But I don't think it's just like a warming situation alone. Like it's a multifaceted issue. That's why I don't just specifically focus on that, because there's many other environmental problems. Obviously, I do think it's a problem, but that there are so many ways we're screwing up the environment. Most of it is due to, well, the militaries of the world are the biggest polluters on the planet. And then you have the fossil fuel situation. Colonizer ecosystem maintenance. I like that way of putting it. Yeah, and like the data centers certainly aren't helping. But yeah, I think that is all I got for today. I'm going to be a little bit short today because I have some stuff going on that I got to take care of here around the house. But I think I'm actually going to cut stuff from this video this week and share it and start doing that more. Right now I'm super focused on trying to get this this screenplay done, at least the first season of it. So that is where a lot of my attention has been. Smokey the Bear is anti-indigenous propaganda. Holy shit. I did not know that, but it does not surprise me. I'm going to have to look into that one. That sounds interesting. But yeah, definitely excited about that. Because I do think that there is some potential to get this story out there, and like I said, it's a lot deeper than a lot of people might think. It is not some party monster shit. You know what I mean? It is very deep about cultural and society fitting in, how capitalism destroys alternative communities, even when we try to exist outside of it. How predators behave in the music industry and how they're protected. Like, it encapsulates all this shit. And yeah, I've just gotten in the flow with that. And when I do, I just kind of, when something like that happens, I just kind of go with it, because we'll see. I'll keep you posted on my contest submissions and let you know if anything positive pops up with that. And yeah, I'm gonna try to do some more standalone videos too, stuff that isn't clips from this stream. I'm just really trying to figure out the right topics that I want to cover, because I want to get like a good kind of library of videos that really represent the ideas that I'm trying to push out there. I don't want to just jump on any kind of random news story that might be trending or something like that. I want to actually really put thought into like what I represent. That's why I'm being like a little bit more kind of careful and precise about things now as far as that's concerned, like with the standalone videos I put out instead of just trying to whatever. Can I still have my if we do deinstitutionalism, can I still have my electric bong and my video games and my stuff like that? Can I still have my toys? If so, I'm down. If not, I don't know. Can we still have Burger King? That's a different topic. That's a different topic. Burger King, Waymo, I could live without. Could definitely live without Burger King and Waymo. It's always fun. Always fun. Oh yeah, see, that's interesting. I want a moneyless society, but I want my fast food. I don't know if that's what I'm saying right now, if you're making fun of me or if that's literally what you feel, but unironically, yes. Even though I have like really cut my fast food consumption to almost zero, and I used to eat fast food almost every day because of the ARFID thing, because fast food used to be generally consistent. Now it's gross most places, or maybe that's because my tastes have changed a little bit. But the thing that really pushed me away from fucking fast food is that, like, for a while there, it was like Chick-fil-A was the only one I was finding consistent. And then once I found out about them and shit, which I should have known, like with it being closed on Sundays and then like being all weird about that. But like, once I found out about their donations, I was like, man, I'm going to have to feel guilty every time I fucking eat at this place now. I just need to cut this shit out. But I haven't found fast food to be as consistent as it used to be either. Go a lot of places and it's like cold and shit. That's why I have trouble when I travel. But yeah, I guess I will see you next week. I'm going to try to keep these Tuesdays rolling. Today, I was kind of unorganized with it. I used to put like a lot of time and energy into planning these. And it was like zapping my ability to do anything else, including look for a new job. So, it's yeah, that makes sense. The consistency of fast foods probably went down because they don't pay their employees enough, but it's also because they have probably ordered cheaper ingredients. I've noticed that like recipes have changed over the years for certain places, and they've never changed for the better. It's always like, oh, we have this new French fry, and it's like, oh, okay, it's garbage now. Now that we have fast food, all wars exist to protect it. Oh my God. I think food stamp holders should be able to eat whatever they want. Hey, I ordered the same shit from. Oh, I always. Every restaurant every restaurant on earth, there is one thing on the menu that I will eat. It's not the same thing at every place. I don't know if I can think of a restaurant where there is just like where I actually have to look at the menu like the second time I go there. Usually I'll go someplace, I'll look at the menu once, and I'll be like, okay, this is the food that I'll eat here. So this is probably the thing I'm going to order every single time I'm here, if it's good. That's how I roll. Yeah, chicken nuggets was always my thing. I'm not a burger guy because I'm not a sandwich guy. I don't like mixing meat with bread in the same mouthful. It's that's how weird my shit gets. I like to have my meat and my bread in a different mouthful, if that that sounds if that makes sense. But yeah, I actually wrote an article about that, about my ARFID that Huffington Post is going to publish on their like lifestyle section or something like that in months from now. I need to send them my headshot and bio, which I have forgotten to do for weeks. So I'm going to do that. But yeah, I did post an article about that. So that'll be interesting to read when that gets published. But yeah, always fun chilling and chatting with y'all. I appreciate those of you that stick around to hang out and you know, see where this channel grows. I know it's going a little bit slower than it once was, but you know, growth really plateaued for a couple months. Like my first month on this channel, I got like 1,500 subscribers or something like that. And then over the next 5 months, I got like 200 subscribers or some shit, which is, you know, is like it fell off a cliff. So that was a little bit discouraging. As much as I hate to admit it, that had something to do with the drawback in content distribution, you know what I mean? But I've kind of found some other projects that I really think are going to be important and that I'm really excited about. So you know, I'm putting my energy there, but still investing in this channel, still connecting with y'all, and still trying to figure out which direction I should take. Because I gotta pick something specific. I can't just like do everything. So I appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, if I could get this show picked up by Netflix or Hulu or some shit like that, I'll start streaming full time because I'll have a platform for it. But what I've noticed is that, you know, usually people who are big streamers, they had some kind of other thing that they did, you know what I mean? That kind of catapulted them there. And even though I have a lot of prior work, I've been out of the game for a long time. And I think that my most meaningful contribution could be this story, because I was involved with a lot of crazy shit that happened. And it's an excuse for me to kind of like weave my political ideas into something that will be palatable to mainstream people. You know, that's kind of my thought. But you know, I'm only sharing this background stuff because I know those of you that stuck around, you know, might be curious about it. But thank you again, and I will catch you next week. And yeah, let me know if you have any ideas for videos or anything like that in the Discord. I know I've been a little bit absent, but I'll try to be paying more attention. Peace.